Firstly, welcome to everyone for joining the next episode of the Voly webinar. Today we're going to be covering off the benefits of the Voly Money Payments Platform. Introductions, myself, Jonny, Allbut, Head of Sales for Voly Group. Joining me today, we also have Andy Howell, Head of Business Development within the yachting side, and also Henry Featherstone, Head of Treasury Sales. A little bit of background about Voly for those who don't know us. Voly Group is an award-winning platform voted by Captain's Crew for the last number of years. Been going for the last 6 years, globally used in Europe, Middle East, the US, and also in the Southern Hemisphere. Today, like we mentioned, we're going to be covering off the payments platform. There's 3 elements when we look at Voly. We talk about the integrated prepaid card. Along with that comes our Crew app for recording those transactions, whether that's uploading receipts, expenses, invoices, etc., right way through to the actual accounting side, our full double entry multi-currency platform. I'm going to be handing over to Andy shortly, where we're going to talk about our integrated approach, where we're trying to streamline process, where we can provide monetary savings, but also time savings, not just for the shore-based users, but also for the onboard users. Andy, if I pass over to yourself, and if you want to take them through the next stages, please.
Thank you very much, Jonny. Welcome to everyone, wherever you are in the world. Let me just get my module up. I think if it's possible, just to make sure everyone's muted, just mute. Thank you very much. Okay. Still got people coming in at the moment. Just admit. Oh, and another one. So what I'm going to do is just share my screen. So hopefully everyone can see my main screen. We're going to be running through the payment platform. Voly's payment platform is a payment platform that is fully integrated into the Voly's accounting software. This means that all payments can be made through the platform and are automatically reconciled with the Voly accounting system. This eliminates the need for manual reconciliation. Sorry, excuse that. The system has been built and is user-friendly for captain's crew and shore-based offices for the yacht. The advantages of the payment platform is that making the payments directly through to the suppliers eliminates the need for bank reconciliation and multi-currencies. What we have found, or what we still find at the moment, is a lot of yachts are inputting a lot of information onto Excel spreadsheets, making payments through their bank accounts or separate bank accounts, and using multiple financial software platforms. This really causes frustration, wasting a large amount of time and frustration towards people that are on the yacht or actually on shore base. Also with the platform, it's fully integrated into the accounting software, which means that all transactions can be recorded and sort of reduces the amount of errors that can be made. It's transparent for the captains and crew and shore side, being able to see their financial data in real time, helping them to make better decisions with the yacht. And the platform also allows the office to send remittance to the suppliers if needing proof of the payment being made. And really, last of all, the way the system is set up, there is a robust authorization process with the payment platform. So maybe you have 2 eyes, you have someone setting up the payment and then someone executing the payment. But I will show you that in due course. So really, when you look at it from a captain's point of view, the captain can use the payment platform maybe to pay for fuel, dockage, other expenses while the yacht is running or on charter. The shore-based office could use the platform for crew salaries, insurance premiums, and other recurring expenses. And maybe the owner can use the payment platform for maintenance and repairs and all other expenses associated with owning the yacht. What we're going to do now is I'm just going to come into the system, which you can see at the moment, and we're going to just build a scenario. But first of all, you can see around the Voly summary. Here in euros, it gives you your payment account balance. that you have in euros and your payment account balance in US dollars. You can also view this in your banking side. So if we look down on the banking, you can see the Voly Money accounts and the amounts that we have in euros and in US dollars. So what I'm going to be doing now is I'm going to be acting as a captain of the motor yacht Push the Button. It's sort of based on a 50-meter yacht. And what we have is we have a scenario where there's been some damages done to the carpet of the main saloon, and the captain and the crew have been asked to rectify this. So actually using the approval and request system, which is within the Voly, looking for quotes, we're going to go with National Marine to get cleaning products and a vax machine to clean up this situation. So when we go into our invoices, you can also search your invoices accordingly with these sort of fields. But if you're adding an invoice, you add your invoice, putting in your date, your invoice number. Your invoice number. If you've used an invoice number already, it will alert you to that. Select your department. What is the description? You can drag and drop a file in, or you can select your invoice. And then you come to your supplier. If you haven't used a supplier before, you can type in a new supplier, or you can select your supplier from your list. I'm going to use National Marine A. And the good thing here as well, it's been set up for 15 days payment, so it will automatically register what date that needs to be paid. Then we come into the description. We want to add 2 fields to this, 2 descriptions. So we want to do the cleaning products. We put our expense category, interior. We go for, wait a minute, repairs and maintenance. We're going to use for this one. Actually, no, upholstery and carpet cleaner. We add in our costs. Then we do a split line because we need to do the Vax Hoover as well. So we put that description in, select our category, equipment. Same again. Once you're all happy with that, then we save our invoice. And what has happened there is that the captain has now inputted the invoice. It has gone through to the shore-based office to say this is ready for payment, of which now Henry will act as the shore-based office and will show you how you set up the payment and then execute the payment. Over to you, Henry.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks, Andy. My name's Henry Featherstone, and I'm head of treasury sales here at Voly. What does that mean? It means that we tell clients what the vision is within Voly about building a holistic system that manages all the financial aspects of the yacht. And that's everything from on the ground, from card expenses, moving through to cash management, and finally raising invoices and paying the suppliers, all on the Voly platform. As you can see on the screen that Andy's left me with, we do have multiple currency options of payments, which we'll come back to later on, but there's just many things to acknowledge throughout as we go. So please bear in mind any questions for the end of the talk. I'm just going to quickly share my screen with you. Okie dokie. So moving on, we've got Andy, who's offshore on the boat, raised an invoice for us, and I'm going to sit in the onshore admin department. So I can see that we've got an invoice here from National Marine A for €2 that is unpaid and needs paying. What we're going to do next, quite simply what you do on your normal banking platform, we're going to set up some details to pay them if it is a new beneficiary. So the easiest way that I find of doing this is moving from our contacts, and I'm going to filter down. I'm going to search into National Marine. And here we're going to find National Marine A, who we need to send a payment to. Quite simply, we're going to click on the information button, create a new beneficiary. Now, I'm sure you'll appreciate that I'm not going to For GDPR reasons, I'm not going to visualize any banking details because we want to go through the actual payment process, so I can't put in any fake details, because the system will know whether the details are incorrect or whether the account numbers are wrong. So this is a euro invoice, so we'll select Spain, for example, and then from here we'd go through and move through the IBAN, the BIC, everything absolutely as normal, followed by the beneficiary details at the bottom, clearly stating that this is a business, not a personal transaction. We don't want any hurdles along the way in regards to anti-money laundering checks. So we fill all this out, and we can simply submit our details down at the bottom. What this then allows us to do is to go back to the invoice that Andy has raised with us. And what we now see is a nice blue little button, which is going to show us the beneficiary details we've added. So at this stage, as the final safeguarding step in the process, we always say if it's a new supplier, please just maybe give them a quick call and confirm the last 4 digits on the accounts. Quite simply, we're going to move over. We've got an unpaid invoice over here, and we're going to add a payment. It will always pre-populate with the full amount of the invoice. You can split it if you wish. And then we're going to move down and choose the Voly Money Euro float, which is running low, 13 euros, but enough to make this payment. And we, from here, add the reference as usual. I'm also going to choose a file. We're going to upload onto the invoice, and you'll see where that's relevant in a few seconds' time. We're going to add the payment. So putting this in layman's term, Andy's on the boat, I'm on shore. If this was used elsewhere outside of a Voly system, perhaps there's been an email chain, there's an attachment that's needed to be downloaded. I've then moved platforms onto my house bank, wherever that may be. I've added a new beneficiary and I'm set to make the payment. At some point, as Andy alluded to, at some point that is going to have to be reconciled, whether that's daily, whether that's invoice by invoice. And again, that's going to have to be moved over to Sage, QuickBooks, Excel, wherever that is, and that this information is going to be duplicated. Now, we've got a lot of data on the system. What we seem to have found is that we're looking at about 2.5, 3.5 minutes per invoice. And now if we go 40, 50, 55, 60 meter boat, that could be anywhere from 30 to 40, 45 invoices a month. That's moving up into the category of 150, 170 minutes. So we're talking 2.5, 3 hours that we're going to give back to you so you can use your time more efficiently for not on the mundane jobs that needs running operationally within the boat. So we've added the payments. And again, I'll remind you that Voly works as on a permission-based system. So one person may be able to set up a payment. They may have approval to send it. Like the beneficiary, we can have 2 sets of eyes on it at all times. So it's come through for an approval. And right here, we can see National Marine. This is the invoice I was talking about. I'd like to pay that. I'm going to make a payment. You'll see that you'll get a verification code that will come through directly to your handset. In this case, it's on WhatsApp that's come through to myself. I've double checked it, bank payment. I'm happy to make the payment and we're off. So listen, we're not reinventing the wheel, but we have kept it on one platform. We haven't moved. We don't need to reconcile. Everything's in one place and we're going to move forward. Now, if you remember, I said I added the invoice on earlier. It's quite a nice little touch that if we go down to our Voly Money accounts, our Euro account, and you can see right here, National Marine, €2. I can click into this payment and quite simply download the remittance advice. We know that suppliers are happy to chase crew members and there's a bit of back and forth. Again, we're trying to thin the communication channels down. We don't want 1,500 emails a year. We want everything to be transparent and be able to see where we're all up to. So if the crew's raised the invoice, the admins approved it and made the payment, the crew member is able to go onto the system, pull the remittance, and they know that that's going to go through to the supplier. I'm very happy to tell you that in a few weeks, months, and hopefully the first in a few weeks, we have got an automation piece being added in where we are able to add a supplier's email address onto that invoice. So automatically we'll go out and keep them posted. As Jonny and Andy explained earlier, there are a few different proposals and different things that we can do for you from the Treasury desk. As you can see here, we've got the Voly Money Euro account and the Voly USD accounts. Quite simply, these are the main currencies along with sterling that most banks would like to seed fund the money into, and this is where the funds and the boat will be ran from operationally. Now, we're just running a few health checks. They're obligation free, and this is all in order to streamline the process. It's a bit of a value add for being a Voly client. Some clients really appreciate it, some clients aren't bothered, but personally we feel like it's such high priority, the currency transactions and the flow of the funds within the yachting world, that we're just going to add an extra set of eyes on it. And being perfectly honest, it's a win-win situation. If we sit down, it takes 30 minutes to go through the flow and how the boat's managed. If we find anything, I'm sure we can save some time or save some money and help the problem. If we don't find anything, then you can sleep at night knowing that you're well banked and everything's in place and that the system is being used as thoroughly as possible. On the desk, as boring as it may be, we've got a wealth of foreign exchange knowledge, and we will sit and manage the exchange rate. So if we were wanted to move $50 over to euros, quite simply, we'd have a line of communication with myself and the team, Urfian and James, and you just drop us an email, give us a ring and say, listen, I'm going over to the Med for the next 3 months. What are your thoughts on the euro? We're probably going to spend 400, 500,000 euros over that time. How do you feel? And if I was to tell you today that the dollar euro exchange rate's peaking at about 0.93, just below the 94 handle, I'd be interested to know how many of your banks have rang you to let you know that today. So we're on hand to give you up-to-date information, and there's a lot of cool features that will be coming in the future just to speed up and expedite this process of being as efficient as possible for you. What is also quick of interest to note, if we go back to the banking page, is that the fees on these accounts, the euros and the dollars, if you're paying a local euro beneficiary, such as the National Marine one, that's going to go SEPA free of charge. We know that that's less than what can be sent out from house banks. And the same with dollars. We're going to send things ACH to local United States beneficiaries, again, free of charge. We do also obviously have the Swift payment option, and that's a £10, €12 and $15 fee to send Swift. Again, $2, $3, $4 euros cheaper than some of the house banks. So it's a very quick run over of everything, but I'm happy to pass back over to Jonny now, who will conclude the webinar today.
Super, thanks Henry. So hopefully we've just given you a bit of an insight to the payments platform. As we talked about, we're just trying to streamline the process, bring everything into one centralized platform rather than having multiple logins, but just enabling both shore-based and shore-based and yacht-based operations all be able to sing off the same hymn sheet as such. With that in mind, is there any particular questions we can open up the floor to? I know we've received a few questions since we launched the webinar topics, but does anyone in the room today have any questions for us to answer? If you do, you might just need to unmute yourself.
I've got a good question, if that's okay.
Yeah, hi there, Sam.
Hi there. So I understand that the captain and the crew can input the invoices, but are they able to set up the payment for the shoreside office to execute themselves?
Yes. So yeah,
Jonny, I'm happy to take this.
Yeah, go on, right. Please do.
Yeah, thanks very much for the question. When people come on and they're setting up the asset, everything is set up bespoke to how the vessel is going to be run. So for example, you might have a situation where you would want crew to input the invoice, which they can easily do. Which moves it up to the captain, who can set up the payment, and then that would go through to the shore-based side, who would then execute the payment. So I think we saw before that Henry did setting up the payment and the execution. That can happen on the yacht and then move to the shore base. So yes, that can happen. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I've got a question. What measures are in place for safeguarding of funds?
Okie doke. Henry, do you want to cover that one, or?
Yeah, it's just a quick one. As our banking partners, FCA regulated, everything in place as usual. We also have extremely stronghold two-factor authentication to get into your Voly account. What is also important to acknowledge is that these are all client accounts within our banking partners institutions. So Voly doesn't have access to these accounts, so they're extremely safeguarded. Not to mention we're part of ISO 27001 as well, following all the correct protocols in place. So we've got the two-factor banking partners covered on their side from regulatory standpoint, and the two-factor inside once again.
Great,
question.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions on the floor?
What are the fees associated with payments in foreign currency?
Yeah, there's often a common question, you know, the word fees and charges drives us get a little bit sick within the banking world, but essentially we try and keep it as transparent as possible. So with foreign exchange, we've done a lot of market research and we've seen various pricing. I'm not sure if everyone's aware of how the foreign exchange market is priced. When you send an invoice from your bank, if you've got a dollar bank account and we're sending euro invoice out, you probably won't get asked if the exchange rate is acceptable. Your payment will just go out and you'll just be debited a certain amount from the dollar account. So we're here for transparency on that front. So whether you're moving floats between whether you're moving funds on the Voly account from dollars to euros, euros to sterling, wherever you may be, that's going to be done at a flat 0.5%. And then, as I mentioned earlier, we've got the free SEPA, the free ACH, and if it's required for high value payments and you want to safeguard them, then we've got the SWIFT payments at the $10, $12, and $15 marks on top of that.
Super. Any other questions? No. Okay. Well, look, thank you ever so much for everyone who's dialed in. We will make the recording made available and send out at a later date. We are looking to do more of these over the next month or so. I think the next topic we're going to cover is charter and APA management. So as we close off the med season before we move to the Caribbean, we'll be touching base on the APA platform, the prepaid card and the mobile app, streamlining the management of charter APA, which also cover the payment side, allowing the captain or even pursers on those larger yachts to physically make wire transfers directly from the charter guest APA account. On behalf of myself, Voly, and the team, I'd just like to thank you for your time. And again, if you do have any questions, we will be attending the upcoming yacht shows, Monaco as of next week. But please feel free to drop us an email in to hello@voly.co.uk, and we look forward to speaking to you again. Thanks ever so much, everyone, for your time.
Awesome. Thank you very much.